What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to The Breakdown. This is the series where I analyze subscriber gameplay to help you improve. In today's episode, we're going to be covering a team deathmatch gameplay on the map Breach from Danyboy7747. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so let's start off with the class that he decided to use. We've got the VMP with Quick Draw, Grip, and Suppressor. This is a great combination of attachments, absolutely nothing wrong with this whatsoever. I can see he wants to be a little bit stealthy here, try and get on the enemy's flank, and this is really good for team deathmatch. Also, having foregrip on the VMP is great, and quick draw, of course, as well, especially since that nerf that happened quite a long time ago now. But basically, in case you didn't know, the VMP aims down sight in the same time as most of the assault rifles now, so it's actually quite slow, so quick draw is very, very helpful here. Next, we've got the XM53 launcher, which this guy actually uses a lot throughout the gameplay to shoot UAVs down and stuff, so that's great. And we have a concussion grenade, which is just great if you have that extra perk point, don't know what to do with it, you just pop it on that concussion grenade, and I think that's always a good choice. For perks, we have Sixth Sense, which is a great perk for a beginner player in Team Deathmatch. I find it just helps a lot if you don't really have the greatest awareness already, and let's just say you don't have a headset, which most beginner players don't have. So Sixth Sense is a good replacement for that sort of sound whoring and that map awareness. It just kind of helps you out there. So it's not a bad choice at all for Team Deathmatch in my mind. For Tier 2, we have Fast Hands, which is pretty much a no-brainer to me. I really feel like Fast Hands is very, very necessary when you're going to try to be aggressive and potentially run into situations where you get caught sprinting, which is going to happen every now and then. And with the combination of Quick Draw, that's just an excellent choice. You can be quite aggressive and not worry too much about getting caught sprinting. And then finally, we have Blast Suppressor, and this is where I would change it up a little bit. Blast Suppressor in respawn game mode, so we're not talking search and destroy, and I'm also not talking about arena or competitive play, talking about regular public matches. Blast Suppressor usually isn't the best choice in the tier 3 perk slot. I'm not saying it's a complete mistake to use it, but I just find it's not going to save your life very often. It might save your life every now and then, but most people in respawn game modes in public matches aren't going to see your boost signature on the minimap, or if they do, it's going to be so rare that it's just not worth it to run this. And also, not a lot of people really listen for boosts, for like random boosts behind them and stuff. So I just find that this perk could be much better spent on like dead silence or awareness if you have a headset. I'm going to assume you have no headset though, but I would say definitely dead silence is going to save you more often than Blast Suppressor is going to be saving you in Team Deathmatch. Especially with the playstyle in this gameplay. You are trying to get on the enemy's flank throughout this gameplay, but I notice you don't really boost around a ton, which is okay, there's nothing wrong with that, but you're not really taking full advantage of your Blast Suppressor in this scenario. Alright, so now let's get into the gameplay itself, and on his opening route, I really like how he approaches corners like this. He aims down sight, and then he slowly comes around the corner while aiming down sight and keeping his aim where he could potentially run into enemies. That's excellent, he's prepared for a gunfight. But I want to stop it right here. He takes some shots at an enemy, which that was okay taking those shots at an enemy. Normally I would suggest never try to shoot an enemy that you know you can't finish that kill. In that scenario there was a good chance he could have been able to finish that kill. But right here, I just want you guys to think in your head, what would you do in this situation now? The enemy made it behind cover. What do? Do you chase him? Do you just let him go? Or do you try and set yourself up in an advantageous position in case he tries to challenge? I would take option 3. I would try and set myself up into an advantageous situation, especially because if he comes back out, he's got great cover with that barrel. And this range is a little bit beyond what my normal effective range is with the VMP. I mean, it's not useless at this range, but at the same time, it's outclassed by any assault rifle at this particular range. So I would personally go over to the left behind the piece of cover like this and try and challenge him that way. It's a little bit unpredictable. That way, if he does turn back to fight, I have a good chance of killing him. I'm not just standing out in the open completely useless. I've got some way to challenge him. And if he does decide to just keep running, I would probably just let him go at that point, because now he knows where you are and he can get prepared for you and set up behind cover, and he has the advantage in that scenario. So I'd probably just back off from there if that didn't work out and he didn't decide to challenge. Unfortunately, Danny Boy decided to go straight at him and try to chase him. He just sprinted straight out in the open like that. And he got caught sprinting. The enemy had great cover and decided to challenge him, and therefore he died pretty easily. Now skipping ahead a little bit here, he decides to go for this nice little cheeky wall run, which I love to use, but I just wanted to stop it here and make one small correction, and that is centering. Now he's actually pretty good with centering throughout most of the gameplay, but there are a few situations where it seems like he kind of forgets that little aspect of the game. Just in case you don't know, centering just means keeping your crosshairs up and ready to go so that if you run into an enemy, all you have to do is basically aim down sight and fire. You don't have to make any unnecessary adjustments as you see the enemy. You should already be centered in an area where the enemy can come from. So right now, there's no way an enemy can just appear through this wall where he's aiming. The only place that he has to really worry about is if an enemy starts to wall run on the other side, so he should have his crosshairs centered to where the enemy could appear on that wall run. That way, if an enemy did appear, he would have to make no unnecessary adjustments, he would just have to aim down sight and pull the trigger. Now, it turns out he didn't actually run into an enemy in this scenario, so it was no problem, but it's little tweaks like this that can go a long way to improving your gameplay overall. Next up, as he's pushing in towards where the enemy's spawn was, you'll notice his teammate spawned right there, and he saw his teammate spawn there, but he's still got teammates over in his original spawn as well. If you do have a little bit of experience with this map, the most likely place that the enemies are going to be spawning are to the left, because there really aren't any spawns over to the right, or not much going on for spawns over there. So the left is really what you would have to worry about, and this is where I would expect multiple enemies to be coming from pretty soon. So as he sees the first enemy jump out like this, he goes straight after him. He just runs straight out into the open, jumps into the open, and this is a very dangerous move to be pulling. You don't want to just jump into the unknown without having any potential for cover or anything, and this is exactly what he does. And it turns out another enemy was coming from there as well, because that's where they were spawning, and he's able to pick up the one kill, but now he's caught out in the open in a really bad situation and got himself killed. The best way to approach that would have been to try and find a little bit of cover, limit the lines of sight that people could potentially have on you, and try to pick them off one at a time. Have a little bit more patience. You don't have to chase every enemy you see the moment you see them. Think about where they're going to go, try to track and predict their movements, and get yourself set up for an advantage in that gunfight. Now, skipping ahead a little bit here, I just wanted to point out he's great at shooting down UAVs. The second a UAV is called in, he's switching to his launcher and he's shooting it down, which is good in most situations, but sometimes it actually works against him. And right here, I just love this little situation where he's using the Ripper and 6th Sense to his advantage. That's a deadly combination, 6th Sense and Ripper, especially when you're in a close quarters area like this. And he's able to pick up a nice little feed there of kills. Now right here is where he makes the mistake. This is not an area where you can be comfortably shooting down streaks unless you're completely surrounded by teammates, which he wasn't. If you're going to be shooting something down, make sure you're cutting off your lines of sight to the popular areas. Make sure you have a look around, make sure enemies can't get to you first, and then you can look to the sky and start shooting things down. Skipping ahead, I really like the patience right here. He doesn't try to take that shot on the enemy that zipped past his screen, and I really like that. It's kind of like that situation earlier where I said, if you know you can't finish the kill in time before they get around the corner, don't take the shot, because you're just putting yourself at a disadvantage in that area. So instead, he ran forward and was able to get a Ripper kill on the other guy, and his patience really paid off. He was able to actually pick up the double kill there, rather than just getting himself killed. But right here is a very common issue I see. He's still got 27 rounds left in his magazine because the VMP has a 40-round magazine, and he's still compulsively reloading. Now, I'm also guilty of this. Even now, I still make this error sometimes, but it's just something to be aware of and try to break that habit. It's a really difficult habit to break, but just be aware that this is not a safe situation to be reloading in. It even looked like he knew there were going to be enemies coming from that direction as he turned, and it was just a bad time to be going for that reload. Clear the area first, then go for a reload. All you really need realistically in the average gunfight is about 10 to 12 rounds, because of course you're not going to hit every single shot you fire, and usually that is more than enough to take down an enemy with. So there we have it. We're going to have to cut this gameplay a little bit short here. I hope the few little things that I pointed out throughout this gameplay will help some of you guys improve, because it's the little things. They all add up to helping you become a better player overall. If you'd like to submit a gameplay for this series, keep in mind I can't make any promises that I'll be analyzing your gameplay since I get so many submissions. All you have to do is upload the gameplay to YouTube, and then just send me a link to that YouTube video. Please don't have any commentary or music or graphics or anything over top of the gameplay. And I only accept gameplays that are at least 720p in quality. I prefer more average to below average gameplay, but I may analyze the odd, more exceptional gameplay. Just don't go overboard with it. I've already got way too many exceptional gameplays, I'll be completely honest. I'm looking more for those like average to below average sort of gameplays, where there's a fair number of mistakes that are being made, and there's a lot of room for improvement. So if your gameplay meets all that criteria, just send a link to the email address, which I'll leave in the description below. It's xclusiveace@gmail.com, and I'll have a look at it once I eventually get to it. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.